Good morning. We're in John 6 today. We're in verses 52 through 59. This week we'll be concluding John 6 before we do some new things. And we're still in this discussion where Jesus is actually giving a pretty hard teaching to his disciples and to the crowds. We're going to read it and we're going to talk about it today. Then the Jews began to argue sharply among themselves. This is when Jesus said he was the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever. So he said this, the Jews began to argue and say, "How can this man give us flesh to eat?" And Jesus said to them, "Very truly I tell you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life, and I will raise them up on the last day. For my flesh is real food, and my blood is real drink. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me, and I in them. Just as the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so the one who feeds on me will live because of me. This is the bread that came down from heaven. Your ancestors ate manna and died, but whoever feeds on this bread will live forever." He said this while teaching in the synagogue in Capernaum. Now, on Wednesday, we're going to talk about the crowd's response to this. And I think probably because we're 2,000 years removed and we have the practice of communion, the Eucharist, the Lord's Supper firmly established in the life of the church, this maybe doesn't strike us as odd, but I want you to just feel how odd and awkward this must have been to hear. And John's recalling this really direct conversation. Now, of course, he, in writing, would have also had the Lord's Supper in mind. At this point, it would have been firmly established in the worship practice of the church, because he writes probably 40 or 50 years after the life of Christ. But in real time, there's no context. And Jesus is saying things that obviously they couldn't get their heads around. Was he truly calling them to cannibalism? Eating flesh and drinking blood. So I don't know what to do with the passage exactly. I'll be honest with you. It is a strange passage if you take it from the perspective of the readers. So I guess I'll just take it from our perspective. And I just want to focus on that one verse. Just as the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so the one who feeds on me will live because of me. We at Horizon teach a sacramental ontology. We believe that in the sacrament, in the Eucharist, when we take the elements, we are experiencing the real presence of Jesus. Now, there are historical debates, transubstantiation, consubstantiation. So, like, how does it work? And the Catholic teaching, the Protestant. The Anglican teaching, as I follow it, is that it is the real presence of Christ. How? We don't know. It's a mystery. Like, we don't want to get into the debate. But I do really believe that there's some way in which, by faith, as we take those elements up, they become Christ for us. And I believe that there is grace conveyed in the act of faith. Somehow we're meeting Jesus and we're being fed by Jesus, such that I think it's a vitally important practice, and we practice it every week. But even as I say that, I guess what I want to say is that I think this verse has more to say with what does it mean to every day be resourced by Jesus, daily bread as manna from heaven by the Spirit of God, as we look to Jesus for sustenance, strength, guidance, courage, love, the ability to forgive, power. Can I position myself daily to turn to Jesus and say, "Feed me today. Feed me daily bread, because I need what only you can give for this day." This is the thought I think I want to leave you with. Turn to Jesus and let him feed you today for the things that you need. Grace and peace to you.